Hey everyone, Jason Marshall from Fayetteville here, and I chose to do my Jazz Techniques final over a 3-year strategic improvement plan for where I teach at Fayetteville High School in our jazz program there. We'll get started. We didn't really have a mission statement, so I created one, and I'll just read it to you. The mission of the FHS Jazz Program is to help students develop into outstanding citizens and musicians through hard work, dedication, collaboration, and integrity through participation in our jazz program. Students will develop the knowledge, skills, and aptitude needed to play jazz at a high degree of proficiency by playing in traditional big band ensembles, small combo groups, and various other creative bands and projects. Our hope is that Fayetteville students leave with a lifelong love of jazz music through studying and performing high-quality literature and artists. Basically, we want students to leave this program not just with the ability to play jazz, but with the passion to keep playing and to support future generations of jazz players. Our current status of the program is pretty healthy. We have about 47 students in the 2 ensembles. We're lucky to have 2 jazz bands and 2 different classes at the high school, 5th hour and 7th hour. Just 5 or 6 years ago, that wasn't the case. I think it was 6 years ago was the first year. It was one class in the schedule. Before that, it was after school, before school, whenever they could meet. So we truly have kind of transitioned from extracurricular to curricular. And about 3 years ago, we had enough interest to split into two hours, which was great. So I have a Jazz 1, my 5th hour right now. More advanced group, of course. We do a lot more improvisation, and it's our competitive traveling group of about 20 kids. And then Jazz 2, it's more of a training ground for beginners to jazz, of course, outsiders from the band program who want to be involved in jazz, but maybe don't know how to read music and definitely haven't been a part of a formal jazz band before. Heavy focus there on swing style and articulation, but of course we do quite a bit of swing work and articulation in Jazz 1. Goals, 1-year goals for both groups. Quite a bit of listening, and not just listening in class together, which we do quite a bit of. But I want to get out and listen more to live groups, other big bands. We're lucky enough to have the university close by. I need to be doing much more work there. Getting them involved in concerts, going to concerts. We've got a small group of my Jazz 1 kiddos who are gigging around town, and they've really developed a pretty good combo. So I'm thankful for that, but I need to get other kids listening to them, or those guys listening to other groups, just constantly be immersed in pushing themselves. A couple other goals: participation in region honor bands, and what we have up here is called the Northwest Arkansas Jazz Society Youth All-Stars. It's like those honor bands, region and state, but the Northwest Arkansas Jazz Society, a nonprofit up here, has a big band, the Youth All-Stars, that Rick Salonen, Dr. Salonen, usually kind of runs rehearsals. It's a whole semester basically in the spring. It's a little over 3 months of rehearsals just on Sundays. It's really, really quite cool what they've developed. I think it's their 10th year. Anyways, I have a few students in that. I'd like to get more. Another goal is a custom website. I really think our marching band and concert band has a brand and has a visible presence out there in the community. I'd like the jazz to get more that way. And that's one reason I applied for this grant, which was through our Fayetteville Education Foundation, a really great resource we have here. And I'm really hoping we get that. We'll get some custom jazz band stand fronts. Some other goals real quick. It's kind of ironic I'm talking about the high school improvement plan whenever I keep coming back to I need to recruit more. I need to spend more time with the junior high kiddos, just getting them started, obviously, in jazz earlier. Um, so one of my goals is to get a jazz band class in the junior high eventually, if possible. We've got some restructuring coming up in a couple years, and additional junior highs being built. So maybe I can steal away and uh, do a rotation, or anyways, we're getting there. I've got a few kids auditioning for a region jazz, uh, or they auditioned this past couple weeks ago and participated in a clinic at the junior high level. It was great, but I'd love to do more. I'd love to add a jazz combo and improvisation class at the high school, if possible. I've got quite a few kids who would love that and like to benefit from studying a little deeper there. We all know how much we don't get to spend a ton of time on improv and big band. Of course, I'd like to compete more, go to contests in the state, but also outside the state. I'd love to go up to Kansas City or over to Tulsa. OSU, Tommy Poole's got a great contest over there. As far as curriculum and pedagogy, I really like those essential element books, especially book 1 and 2 for my Jazz 2 kids, those beginners. I haven't gotten Jazz, the third book, yet, but I'd like to get it and maybe do a little bit more with Jazz 1. But those are great, supplemental materials. I also use those Jazz conception books because, of course, that's what the all-state level senior high jazz auditions use, and they're not easy. So I find that those are some good practice materials. Very challenging, especially the trombone book. So I'd like to a goal, but also it's part of curriculum and the Arkansas standards, incorporating transcription projects and improvisation more into my lessons. We do quite a bit of improv, but I'd like to do even more transcription. I usually have one transcription project with my jazz kids in the spring, but I'd like to maybe do some smaller snippets in the fall and then maybe that big one in the spring. Arkansas standards, if you're not familiar, it's kind of 4 areas: creating, performing, responding, and connecting. And there's like 11 branches off that, I guess. Again, creating and performing is pretty easy to do when we're in band and jazz band, but responding and connecting, responding while playing or talking, reflecting, making music together can be connecting. But I've tried to incorporate more of those standards in the last few years of my teaching, not just playing the dots on the page. So trying to be better about that. Recruitment and retainment, extremely important. Recruitment, I still remember being hooked in 4th grade on band and jazz. And so I really want to get to recruiting more of those junior highs and middle schools and even elementary schools. Show them that they're capable of playing at a pretty high level, even as they're young. And again, retaining those kids, challenging our current students with high quality literature, fun and entertaining literature, but also give them challenges and let them be successful. Community outreach. Just today we went to a veterans home in town, our Jazz 1 kids, and performed a little Christmas kind of caroling jazz. It was fun. It was I knew the veterans were going to love it, but I think maybe my jazz kids even loved it more. It's really cool seeing them perform and light up others and just share some music. So it just reminded me of Kenneth Prouty's argument, jazz wasn't born in the streets, and it's okay to study and practice inside the classroom walls, but we do need to get out and make music together and interact. That's what it's about. One thing I thought about is getting a parent organization, really trying to involve parents. Our concert band and Color Guard does that, but we need to get a jazz parent association going. As far as budget and needs, I don't have a real budget given to me. It's more of a request based. I ask, and they'll say yes or no, and most of the time it's a yes, which is nice. But I try not to take that for granted. But I would like to get an official activity account. That's something I'm working on. We have a nice Fayetteville Public Education Foundation, a really nice resource for our teachers in the district. I just applied for that custom stands front grant. I think we have a good chance at making that. Different wish list items we need: a mobile keyboard, kind of a organ with organ functions, and that'd be great to have. I'd love to get a double bass, upright bass, not just borrowing orchestra. We're lucky to have orchestra at our school, so I've got uprights in both my jazz bands, but I'd love to have a jazz bass, which I don't, and maybe a set of flugelhorns. Anyways, just lots of stuff. I'd love to leave the program stronger whenever I leave it, and again, just giving my students some great experiences and memories for jazz. Thanks, guys. Bye.